Full stop. So many lies.
Her name is Jodi Power.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would ever take marijuana overseas?
Once the closest friend of Schapelle and Mercedes Corby.
Yes.
Tonight, she blows the whistle on the Corby family. The drugs and the deals you were never meant to know about. Also tonight,
when I activated my parachute, all hell broke loose.
hurtling to earth, plunging 10,000 feet at a phenomenal speed, death was a certainty. But wait until you see what saved this man's life. Hello and welcome to Today Tonight. I'm Anna Corrin. Jodi Power has spent the past 2.5 years staunchly defending her close friend Schapelle Corby alongside Schapelle's sister Mercedes. The three girls who grew up together on the Gold Coast were inseparable until now. Tonight, Jodi turns on the Corby family. Fed up with what she says are constant lies, she now wants you to know the truth about the drugs, the deals, the real story. Brian Seymour has our exclusive investigation.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would ever take marijuana overseas? Did Mercedes Corby tell you that she had taken small amounts of marijuana into Bali?
And my family has been painfully burdened by all these accusations and rumours about me. And I don't know how long I can survive it here.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would like to go with her to her dad's place as her dad was sick and that she had to water marijuana plants?
Guilty. Devastation for Schapelle Corby and her sister Mercedes, and for Mercedes' best friend, Jodi Power.
You know, I guess Mercedes and I were, she was my best friend for that long. That those things that she told me I shouldn't be telling anyone. But she's hurt too many people now. And lied about too many people. Lied, full stop, so many lies.
For 14 years, Jodi Power was inside the Corby family inner sanctum, a trusted friend and confidant. After Schapelle's arrest in Bali in October 2004 for trafficking 4.1 kilograms of marijuana, Jodi was a loyal lieutenant in the family's fight to clear her name.
You were part of the inner sanctum of the family, weren't you?
Yeah.
I keep seeing those pictures of you in court during the trial, sitting next to Rosalie and Mercedes, applauding every positive step in the defence case. How do you get from there to here?
Because I didn't want her to be shot. And Mercedes just has lied so much that she's tried to manipulate everyone.
You believed then, didn't you?
Yeah. I guess I chose to believe. I've always known things Mercedes has said to me, and maybe in my subconscious I thought, oh no, surely not. Bali's pretty corrupt, so I thought, oh, it could happen.
For the first time, Jodi is revealing what she knows. The missing pieces of a puzzle which has fiercely divided opinion over the guilt or innocence of this once unknown beauty school student from the Gold Coast.
We saw each other every day, every single day. If Mercedes couldn't take her food, I went and saw Schapelle every other day.
She doesn't know I'm here, so I'm just bringing these for the Australian people, from the Australian people.
In her best-selling book, Schapelle repeatedly declares her innocence, and she fates her mother Rosalie and her sister Mercedes as her abiding angels. Jodi Power paints a very different picture.
I know when I was, 19, 20, I wasn't allowed to have a beer at her house, but I was allowed to smoke a joint.
In the book, the description Schapelle gives at the airport when she was busted is extremely confronting and very convincing. Her sister walks in, sees the bag, connects the dots, collapses, screaming in disbelief that this could be happening to her little sister. They're pretty good actors. That's what you're saying.
Mercedes has always been good like that anyway. For people that don't know her, I can see it. You would totally believe, maybe.
Maybe no more, if Jodi is to be believed. In her first explosive claim, Jodi says Mercedes Corby confessed to her that she had already taken drugs to Indonesia.
You said she told you she'd taken drugs to Bali herself. How?
Well, she said that she compressed it or made it smaller. I don't remember her words exactly, and put it inside her.
Ideally, of course, you'd want to have someone there on the other side doing the search for you.
Yes, a contact.
Did they have someone like that?
I've only just recently heard that they had a contact in customs and he wasn't on that day.
And for the first time, here is the photographic proof that Mercedes used marijuana, something she has always denied.
It really annoys me. It really does that people make up these lies, and these are people who don't even know. Anyone who knows me knows that. And I get so frustrated.
Mercedes has repeatedly said that neither she nor anyone in her family has had anything to do with drugs. You've seen her say that?
Yes.
How does that fit with what you're telling me now?
She's a liar. She lies. She's lied constantly throughout everything.
Was she selling marijuana?
She has a few times that I've been at her house and people have gone to pick it up. So I did see it a couple of times. I've seen people come in, pay her the money, and then they leave again.
With the drugs?
Yes.
The photographs you've shown us, they speak for themselves.
Yes.
What's her reaction going to be when she sees these photographs?
She's going to hate me.
This is, Jodi admits, a bitter betrayal. How can she turn so publicly on her former best friend? Here she is speaking in support of Schapelle in 2005.
I'm never going to give up on her. In the beginning I was crying a lot. Then I started just getting angry, just like, come on, can't someone do more? There's got to be something done. Like, where is all this evidence gone?
Now, Jodi says much of what plagues her mind she dismissed on the first hearing, like the time Mercedes Corby asked her if she would be prepared to smuggle drugs to Bali.
She just asked if I would ever do it, if I would ever take drugs over. And I said no, like I've got 2 kids and I wouldn't do that. And then she went on to tell me that she had actually taken them over before.
What would have happened if you'd said yes?
I don't want to think what would happen if I had have said yes. Maybe she would have asked me to take it over.
Maybe that'd be you in the cell.
Maybe. I have a feeling that she was possibly sounding me out because it was all about a year before Schapelle got done.
Last year it came to light that Schapelle's father, Michael Corby, was neighbours with a man named Tony Lewis, who in 2004 was charged and convicted of growing hydroponic marijuana on a commercial scale, right next door to Mercedes' dad's place.
She asked me to go down to her dad's place, like to her dad's farm, and help her water the plants. So I don't know whose they were or if she was growing them there or not, but she asked me to go down and help water those plants.
Did she say what sort of plants they were?
Marijuana plants.
We want to be clear. Police did not accuse Michael Corby of growing drugs. They seized 5 kilograms of cannabis in a vacuum-sealed bag at the neighbouring Lewis property. That was just 1 month before Schapelle Corby was arrested in Bali.
That begs the question, how would Chappelle ever smuggle 4.1 kilograms of cannabis into Bali? And of course it was found in a vacuum-sealed plastic bag. Had you ever seen that type of bag before?
Yes.
Where?
At the Corbies' house.
How did you stumble across it?
They were getting marijuana out of it.
The same bag?
It looked like the same bag.
The big plastic, clear plastic vacuum-sealed bag. You saw that bag?
I saw that bag.
And in a further twist, it turns out Schapelle's father, Michael, had lived next door to Tony Lewis more than once. They were also neighbours years earlier in the Queensland mining town of Middlemount.
One of the main things that people said after Schapelle was caught was that it doesn't make sense taking that much marijuana to Bali when you could make more selling it here in Australia.
No, you'd make more in Bali.
How?
Speaking to the expats over there, it's in high demand. Everyone wants good quality marijuana over there. They've all said it. They've all buy it. They all buy it over there.
Better quality than what you can get locally.
Yeah. I chose to believe. I wanted to believe. I didn't want her to be shot. And now there's too many lies.
That's exactly the problem. How to know who is telling the truth? To help us answer that question, we enlisted the expertise of former police officer, now Australia's preeminent polygraph expert, Steve Van Apperen.
All right, what I'm going to do, Jodi, is I'm just going to put on the sensors.
Van Apperen trained with polygraph experts in America, including the Secret Service and the FBI, and is frequently called on by Australian police to work on some of the country's biggest cases.
Research shows if three variables are met, and that is A, the examiner's properly trained, B, it's a validated testing procedure or protocol, and C, that the questions are properly formulated, between 96 and 98% accuracy. Okay, Jodi, we're about to begin. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would ever take marijuana overseas?
Yes.
Did Mercedes Corby tell you that she had taken small amounts of marijuana into Bali?
Yes.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would like to go with her to her dad's place as her dad was sick and that she had to water marijuana plants?
Yes.
Jodi willingly submitted to making these claims hooked up to the polygraph machine, and like her story, the results were astounding.
You did a lie detector test for us. You failed that first lie detector test. Why?
Because there were personal issues with me that kept playing on my mind.
Jodi broke down when we told her she'd failed the lie detector test. Then she begged us to take it again.
One of the obvious reasons you fail a lie detector test is that you're lying.
I was lying about some personal questions he asked me.
Not to do with what you're telling us about Mercedes and the Corbies?
No.
Jodi failed the first test because later on, after completing that test, she disclosed further information that was no doubt on her mind, which obviously affected the results of the tests.
We arranged a second test. This time, Jodi and Steve spoke privately first.
The second time, what had happened was Jodi and I had a discussion where she disclosed certain points or information that she believed could have influenced the outcome of the first test. Did Mercedes Corby tell you that she had taken small amounts of marijuana into Bali?
Yes.
Well, you came out and did another lie detector test and another, both of which you passed.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very confident, extremely confident that Jodi was in fact telling the truth in relation to those issues on the second test.
In spite of that, how confident should anyone watching this interview be that you're being truthful?
Well, they should be confident because I didn't lie about those questions. Ever.
And yet, we are paying you for this interview.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, in effect, paid comment.
Yes.
Doesn't that affect the validity of everything that comes out of your mouth?
No, because I'm honest by nature. I know I didn't lie about it. I know this.
What are you going to do with the money we're paying you?
The first thing, when I first got back from Bali, I started a Help Free Chappelle Incorporated fund. And I still have the letters and how much people donated to that, so I'm paying them back first. If they choose to cash it in, then they can, but, you know, I got notes from kids sending $5 pocket money, and then I want to go to Africa as well and sponsor a village over there that I spoke about before.
How are you feeling now you've spoken to us, Jodi?
I feel cleansed. I feel like I've got it off my chest.
Why the need to get this off her chest? Jodi says it began when she and Mercedes had a falling out last May.
Yeah, we had a bit of a falling out when I just started asking her questions. I was there supporting him for 6 months and... And then I started asking questions because a lot of things didn't add up. And then she just shut me out. And I was adamant to find out why. Like, I kept asking, like, what have I done? And she just shut me out.
Immediately after Schapelle's arrest, Mercedes and their mother Rosalie were in the public eye, giving interviews and making exclusive deals worth more than $100,000.
If no one spoke to media, if they didn't do anything, say anything, if they didn't get me to do anything, say anything, she'd be out now. There would have been a price to pay and she would have been out. So it doesn't make sense for me that she's still there when I know that you can buy your way out. That doesn't make sense.
The final straw for Jodi came in book form. Schapelle Corby's best-selling account of her ordeal, My Story. Schapelle can't profit from the proceeds in jail, and she won't. The copyright is owned by her sister Mercedes and the co-author, journalist Catherine Benella.
How much of this is about retribution, revenge, ill will?
After I read that book, there were so many lies in it.
In that book, no mention of you, a close friend for more than a decade. No mention. Why's that?
Maybe Mercedes knew or remembered what she has told me.
Edited you out?
Yeah.
Jodi says she was shocked at the book's criticism of Schapelle's legal team, the Australian government and the Australian Federal Police, all in stark contrast to the angelic portrait it painted of the Corby clan.
What difference do you hope you telling us all this will make?
Hopefully other people will come forward and say something. I'm not the only one that knows the Corbies. There's thousands of people out there, or there's people out there that know what happened.
I still think of her. I still feel saddened that she's there. But with everything I know and the lies that have been told, it points towards that she knew what she was doing. She was aware of the consequences.
So does she deserve to be there?
I don't think anyone deserves that.
I still care what happens to Schapelle.
Do you still love Schapelle?
Yeah.
Will you see her again?
I don't know.
What would you say to her when you see her again?
I don't know if I will see her again, and I don't know what I'd say.
And for the past several days, we've tried to contact Mercedes Corby without luck. We've called and emailed her numerous times and placed a number of requests for her response through her lawyers, both here in Australia and in Bali. But we've been told repeatedly she's uncontactable at the moment. We're still pursuing Mercedes and the Corby family for their response to Jodi Power's revelations. And again, extend the invitation to come on to Today Tonight and have their say. Tomorrow night, more exclusive information from former best friend Jodi Power. The reporter on that story, Brian Seymour, and producer Andrew Burke.
Not even had a puff for many, many years. My sister's innocent.
Mercedes Corby hits back against her former best friend.
She's had mental problems for years. Like she has hallucinations and like she'd see things.
Like a mental that you can't believe anything she says.
Oh, she's a compulsive liar.
Our exclusive report exposing the truth surrounding the Corby family continues with the biggest bombshell yet. Hello and welcome to Today Tonight. I'm Anna Corrin. Tonight, we hear from Mercedes, Jodi Power, Schapelle Corby's former legal consultant, and Jodi's mother, who has an astonishing admission. Also tonight, the other Minogue. Danny talks about her look, her life, and her family. But first, who is telling the truth? After 7 days of being uncontactable, Mercedes Corby has predictably come out fighting, hitting back at her former best friend Jodi Power, who claims Mercedes was a drug user and took drugs into Bali. In a moment, more bombshells from Jodi, and for the first time, Schapelle Corby's former legal representative comes clean. We'll ask you to decide who's telling the truth, but let's begin with the truth according to Mercedes Corby.
Did you ask Jodi Power if she would ever take marijuana overseas?
Never. That's a lie. Never.
did you tell Jodi Power that you had taken small amounts of marijuana into Bali?
Never. I'm not a drug smuggler. I am not a drug user, and I have not even had a puff for many, many years. My sister's innocent.
Why did you guys have a falling out?
She had a lot of personal problems, and she has mental problems.
What do you mean she had mental problems?
She's had mental problems for years. Like, she has hallucinations, and, like, she'd see things.
Like a mental that you can't believe anything she says?
Oh, she's a compulsive liar. And she's mental. I don't know whether she believes the stuff in her head.
Now, what about the question where she said, you know, I wasn't allowed to have a beer at their house, but I was allowed to smoke marijuana? Who smoked marijuana at your place?
Nobody.
Now, like, didn't she show some pictures of you smoking a bong or what looked like a bong?
Yeah, so I heard. I'm like 17 years old. I have never been what you would call a drug user. As a teenager, I had a couple of puffs here and there, and Jodi very well knows that.
And what about Schapelle? Has she smoked marijuana before?
Well, I didn't know she had, but she has said that she experimented.
And she was also...
a couple of times.
Jodi was talking about the plastic bag that was in your house with marijuana, the one that was the same one in the boogie board.
I have never owned one of those plastic bags. Never.
Right.
Every single thing she said was a lie.
Mm.
I'm not asking them to believe my side of the story, but just don't believe Jodi.
And our invitation still stands for Mercedes Corby to come on our program and refute the allegations. But as far as Jodi Power is concerned, Mercedes' claims are nothing more than a smokescreen to cover up the lies. Jodi is continuing to stand by everything she said in last night's exclusive interview. And tonight she reveals more about Mercedes Corby. Brian Seymour continues the story.
Well, I first started thinking when we had the falling out, things started adding up in my head. And then when her friend in Bali said, oh, well, Chappelle had to meet someone from Adelaide, then I was, whoa. And when I told Mercedes that, her reaction was pretty harsh. And when I told Mercedes that, and I said, who did she have to meet from Adelaide? And Mercedes she got really angry and said, that sort of shit will get us into trouble, and like, what's she saying that for? And
what do you think Schapelle was doing meeting someone from Adelaide before flying off to Bali?
My theory? Because her friend said that to me, I think maybe she did stop and meet someone from Adelaide to pick up the drugs, or maybe someone in the car put them in there. I don't know.
Last year it was reported Schapelle Corby had met a man from Adelaide just hours before her fateful flight to Bali. Now we can reveal Jodi's account of how Mercedes described the marijuana her sister was caught red-handed with.
Did Mercedes ever speak about the marijuana?
When we were in Bali in the early days, she just said it looked like it was from Adelaide. She said, oh, you get those orange buds like that from Adelaide, or it was along those lines of, oh, that stuff comes from Adelaide, or it might have been South Australia. No, she said Adelaide.
She could tell by the look of it.
She said that they were orange buds, and I was like, what do you mean, orange? Like, I've never seen orange marijuana before. Like, what do you mean, orange? She goes, yeah, it was really hairy and it was orange. And I just thought, the brown hairs, or... She goes, no, it was orange, like it's really, really strong. You get that from Adelaide.
I mean, is there anybody in your family, either a stepfather, a distant relative, is there anybody who's ever been convicted or involved in the drugs trade?
No, not that I know of. No, there wouldn't be.
Still, Mercedes has maintained her family's anti-drug stance.
How can she front up so convincingly, so earnestly in defence of her sister and make statements like, we've never touched drugs, myself, no one in the family, never will, completely innocent, pointing the finger at all these other people? How does her mind work to be able to do that?
I don't know how her mind works.
That's exactly the problem. How to know who is telling the truth. To help us answer that question, we enlisted the expertise of former police officer, now Australia's preeminent polygraph expert, Steve Van Apperen.
All right, what I'm going to do, Jodi, is I'm just going to put on the sensors.
Van Apren trained with polygraph experts in America, including the Secret Service and the FBI, and is frequently called on by Australian police to work on some of the country's biggest cases.
Okay, Jodi, we're about to begin. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would ever take marijuana overseas?
Yes.
Did Mercedes Corby tell you that she had taken small amounts of marijuana into Bali?
Yes.
Did Mercedes Corby ask if you would like to go with her to her dad's place as her dad was sick and that she had to water marijuana plants?
Yes.
Jodi willingly submitted to making these claims hooked up to the polygraph machine, and like her story, the results were astounding.
You did a lie detector test for us. You failed that first lie detector test. Why?
Because there were personal issues with me that kept playing on my mind.
Jodi broke down when we told her she'd failed the lie detector test. Then she begged us to take it again.
One of the obvious reasons you fail a lie detector test is that you're lying.
I was lying about some personal questions he asked me.
Not to do with what you're telling us about Mercedes and the Corbies?
No.
We arranged a second test. This time, Jodi and Steve spoke privately first.
Did Mercedes Corby tell you that she had taken small amounts of marijuana into Bali?
Yes.
Well, you came out and did another lie detector test and another, both of which you passed.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very confident, extremely confident that Jodi was in fact telling the truth in relation to those issues on the second test.
She's told me before that she's taken surfboards over to Bali and complained about the person she was taking them over for wouldn't pay her. And then she makes comment of not wanting that customs are now onto it so they don't smuggle it that way.
Could she have saved her sister?
I think she's married to a Balinese man. She knows the Indonesian system. She knows how it works. She's not that... Why didn't she keep her mouth shut? Why did she make all these people do all this media stuff? Like, I don't understand that. So, yeah, I think she could have saved her sister by keeping her mouth shut and telling all of us to keep our mouths shut. And her sister would have been out 3 months later.
Brian Seymour reporting. Now, a lot has been said today about the motives of Jodi Power, her state of mind and her character. One person who's come out to defend Jodi is her mother, Margaret Power. Not only is she supporting her daughter, she also has a startling admission of her own. I spoke to her earlier today from our Brisbane studios. Well, Margaret, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, why do you believe your daughter came on our program last night and made those explosive allegations?
They're not allegations, it's the truth. My daughter does not lie. And I'm absolutely appalled at the fact that Mercedes Corby had the cheek to get on TV and say the things she said this morning. That's what got me very upset.
As her mother, you are certain that Jodi is telling the truth?
Out of everyone in my entire family, Jodi is the most honest person there is. And I know with 110% Jodi is not lying.
Well, Mercedes Corby has come out today attacking your daughter's character and credibility. She's called Jodi a liar, that she's greedy, that she has mental problems. What is your response?
Mental problems? The only mental problems she's got is her ex-husband, who abused her for 4 years, has been trying to accuse her of mental problems so he could get custody of her son. And now he has now joined up with the Corby family. And they're both getting together, trying to discredit Jodi in whatever way they humanly possibly can.
So, Margaret, why has she done it? To turn on your former best friend of 14 years, why has Jodi done this?
Because she wanted the truth out of there. It has been playing on her conscience for a long time. Jodi couldn't live with herself knowing now that she knows what she knows now. She can't lie. Jodi can't lie, put it that way, and live with herself.
Now, Jodi's ex-husband, Michael Ripley, is also attacking your daughter's state of mind. And now, for the benefit of the audience, can you please explain the history of their relationship?
The marriage is broken up because of all the abuse that's gone over the last 4 years. And he wants his son, and he will go to no ends to get him. If it means getting in with Mercedes, who has never liked Michael in any way, shape or form and has told Jodi repeatedly many times to leave him, has now hooked up with him. What's going on?
Michael and Mercedes have disliked each other for many years, and yet recently they met up. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I think they met up to get their stories straight so that neither, because Michael wanted his son, Mercedes wanted to be proved innocent. She didn't want anyone disbelieving her, so they've just met up to organise everything to get it together.
Now, Margaret, you have an admission to make about receiving a parcel from Mercedes. Can you please tell us about that?
Well, I'd often go down to Byron Bay to babysit the children for Jodi on many occasions, and I'd always call into Mercedes along the way. And on one particular occasion, Mercedes told me that there was a parcel there I had to pick up to take to Byron, to Michael and Jodi. So I stopped and took it down, and it wasn't until I got to the other end that I found out what was in the parcel.
What was in the
to
parcel?
My shock, marijuana.
How much marijuana?
It was quite a shock. I don't know. I don't even know much about the stuff, so...
Well, how big was the parcel? Margaret, do you believe that your daughter was involved with drugs?
No, she smoked marijuana. She won't deny it herself, but she was never involved in drugs, no.
So Jodi never trafficked drugs?
No, never in her entire life. She wouldn't do that.
She never sold drugs?
She smoked it. Never sold drugs, no. Never.
Margaret, you've known the Corby family for almost 20 years. Were you aware that they were involved with drugs?
Yes, I am. And I know there are a lot of other involvements with it, but it is up to my daughter to come forward. And I urge anyone out there to please come forward and tell what you know.
So you're trying to tell me, Margaret, that there are other people out there who will back up Jodi's claims?
There are several people out there who can back up Jodi's claims. They've just got to have the strength to come forward like Jodi has.
Now, Mercedes Corby has volunteered to sit a lie detector test. What do you make of that?
Bring it on, Mercedes, because you won't pass. You wouldn't know how to lie straight in bed. Don't know if you want to print that, Anna.
No, well, if that's the truth and that's how you feel...
That's a fact. I hope they do sit a lie detector test, because neither one of them would know how to tell the truth.
Margaret, tell me, are you fearful for Jodi's safety?
Yes, because I don't trust the Corby family and I don't trust who they're involved with. And I do worry about my daughter, and I'll be there to protect her in every way I can.
Well, Margaret, thank you so much for coming forward. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Anna.
Mercedes Corby is now threatening legal action against Today Tonight and Jodi Power. But Mercedes has another battle on her hands before then. Tonight, we can reveal that Schapelle Corby's former legal representative is commencing legal action against Mercedes over claims she made about him in the best-selling book Schapelle. Tonight, Vasu Rasaya breaks his silence about Mercedes' role in her sister's case. Brian Seymour spoke with him in Bali a short time ago.
Most of the contents are pack of lies.
That's how Vasu Rasaya describes Schapelle Corby's book, My Story. Rasaya is the part owner of the legal firm that handled Schapelle's defence, but says he was constantly hampered by Schapelle's sister Mercedes.
What we wanted was for them to tell their actual story so we can build a case. Most occasions, they were telling Mercedes' version. She manipulates the entire thing. She manipulates the entire situation.
Mercedes Corby?
Yes.
He claims he was paid a total of $8,800 for defending Schapelle, and that he was dumbfounded when the family turned down a chance to prove her innocence.
We had the privilege of requesting from the Bali police a sample to be tested. We went to Canberra and met experts in drug DNA sampling. And we have all the correspondence with these people. We were inviting them to come to Indonesia to test this sample. At that time, I mean, if I remember correctly, I mean, it's very difficult to go back and even channel the Bonella's crowd. They said if they can agree to get the people to come there and test, they will also help them. They knew about all these things.
So why didn't the testing go ahead?
Some or other, it was when we put it, we put forward for testing the drugs for DNA and also lie detector test to the suspect to take the lie detector test. All these things were delayed. Various reasons were brought about by Mercedes, why they can't do straight away, delayed this, delayed that. It's again part of the entire manipulation, man. I mean, we can't force them to do this thing. And the DNA test would have showed exactly where the drug came from.
So why didn't they do it?
They didn't want to do it.
Why?
I can't answer the question.
Vasu Desai says the family also rejected his plea to do a lie detector test, then added if anyone could beat the machine, it would be Mercedes Corby.
Lie detector. We told them, why don't you go on the lie detector? Let's do a national... Actually, this lie detector fact was brought about by the Australian legal team.
Why didn't they do a lie detector test?
They didn't want to do.
Why not?
And in the Australian legal team, they said, do the lie detector. That way, it will clear a lot of doubts from a lot of people's mind. But it was never done. Never could do it. They would never agree to that.
We've tried to contact Mercedes since last Wednesday to include her side of the story.
Here we are at Mercedes Corby's home in Bali, just a short 10-minute drive from Corbies prison. We came here to give Mercedes an opportunity to explain the images we've shown and the things Jodi Power has told us. But neighbours here say she's gone away with her mother Rosalie to a resort about an hour and a half's drive away. Are you planning to take any action against either the Corby family or Catherine Benella, the co-author of Schapelle Corby's book?
We have contacted a few defamation barristers in Australia, as well as our defamation colleagues in Indonesia. And we strongly reserve our right to take defamation action in Australia as well as in Indonesia against the Corby family and the writer Catherine Benella and the publisher, because it doesn't give anybody right to publish anything without verification. It has damaged our career and standing very, very badly, what the book said.
So you're saying they published lies about you?
They published lies and things that is not true. And then I also want to make them very clear. In Indonesia, liability case is both criminal and civil. Under criminal jurisdiction, it is prison.
Prison?
It is prison.
Both have attacked Jodi Power for being paid to tell us her story. And when it comes to paid comment, the Corbies are experts. Mercedes' very first story for a magazine earned her $30,000. She then approached us seeking a similar payment. We declined. The family then entered into a long-term deal with the Nine Network.
I mean, it is sad. It's a very sad day for Australia when they can lie in the book so much. When they can tell things that is not true.
And tomorrow night, we continue our investigation into the Corby family. I will speak exclusively to Jodi Power from her secret location as she reveals more information. We'll also put Mercedes Corby's version of events through a lie detector process. But now we'd like to hear from you. Who do you believe? In a national phone and internet poll, we're asking, do you believe Jodi Power is telling the truth? For yes, call 1902 558 713. For no, dial 1902 558 714. You can also vote on our website at yahoo7.com.au/todaytonight, and we'll bring you those results tomorrow night.
Ladies, you cannot pass a test. You know that you are lying 100%.
The final word, the showdown. Mercedes Corby, Jodi Power. Hello and welcome to Today Tonight. I'm Anna Corrin. Tonight, Mercedes Corby faces lie detector testing, while her former best friend Jodi Power drops another bombshell, this time involving Chappelle's mother, Ros Corby. Also, the real estate vultures, buying up at mortgagee repossession sales, the new McDonald's of the property market. Plus, the scheme that will save you $100,000 off your mortgage. But first, after having her character and credibility savagely attacked, Jodi Power has now decided to tell everything she knows about the Corby family. In her earlier interview, the former best friend of Mercedes Corby was withholding information. Tonight, she not only further implicates Mercedes and Schapelle, but also their mother, Rosalie. Jodi is fully aware that what she's about to tell us will change her life forever. She spoke to me earlier today from an overseas location. Jodi, thank you so much for joining us. Now, you don't want us to reveal where you are. Why is that?
Because the Corby family have heavy connections, and now they're speaking to my husband, and he can tell them wherever I am. So I'm scared.
Why did you do this story, Jodi? A lot of people are asking that question. Why did you turn on your best friend?
When I first read the book, it was just full of lies, so I guess that motivated me that little bit more to come out with and just tell the facts that Mercedes has told me. I'm not throwing accusations around or anything like that. I've come out and said what she has specifically told me. Well, so I hope someone else comes out and says it as well.
Well, Mercedes has come out and attacked you personally about your motive, your credibility, your character, even your sanity. I mean, why should we believe you over her?
Well, I'm not lying. I know she's lying, so bring it on. I want her to sit this lie detector test. I want her to sit there and say that she didn't tell me these things about her mother. I want her to be asked, where do people buy marijuana from on the Gold Coast? I used to be a marijuana smoker. Ask her where I bought it from. Ask her in the last 5 years what drugs she has taken. Ask her if she's had speed, cocaine, ecstasy, shabu in the last 5 years. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I know a lot of other people have.
Jodi, do you stand by each and every one of the allegations you have made?
Yes, I do, 100%.
The first allegation being that Mercedes told you that she smuggled drugs into Bali. Is that true?
Yeah, Mercedes told me she inserted small amounts of marijuana inside her and taken it over.
The second allegation that Mercedes asked you to smuggle drugs into Bali?
Yeah, she definitely asked if I would do it. She didn't say for her, but she asked me if I would ever take it into overseas or whatever.
Jodi, the third allegation is that Mercedes asked you to water her father's marijuana plants.
Yep, she asked me if I would like to go down with her to help her water all the plants.
And did you?
And at that stage I was like, whoa, God, they must have a plantation. So that was my first thought. I never actually went down and had a look. I didn't go with her.
You never saw the plantation?
No.
Now, Jodi, the fourth allegation and the most explosive to date is that Mercedes told you that her mother, Rosalie, transported drugs from Adelaide to the Gold Coast on domestic flights.
She said a particular family member was getting in too deep and that even Mum's doing it. And I'm going, doing what? She's bringing it back from Adelaide. And I went, how? And she said, on the plane. I said, how the hell is she going to bring it back on a plane? Like, it's a plane. And she said, in a suitcase? And I was just like, whoa, I was a bit blown away.
What you're trying to say to us is that Rosalie Corby is involved in trafficking drugs.
What I'm trying to say is what Mercedes has told me about her mother.
Who is the ringleader in the Corby family?
I don't know who the ringleader is. But I know that they're all involved. They have to be all involved from what she's told me in the past.
If you could say something to Mercedes right now, what would you say?
Take the lie detector test, Mercedes. You ask him about, you're making out that you're such a saint, that I'm mentally insane. I can prove that, but you cannot pass a test that you know that you are lying 100%. You know you told me these things. You know you've had cocaine in the last 5 years. You know you've smoked shabu. You know you've done all this. So I hope this lie detector guy is very credible and you're going to sit this test, because I know there is no way you'll pass. I know that 100%. So I want her to take this test. If this Ryan guy is credible, there's no way she can pass. Not even a 1% chance.
So we can't believe a word that Mercedes is saying?
No, she's making out she's a saint. She's never had drugs in her house, and it's just a load of bollocks. It is an absolute load of bollocks. And my husband knows as well. He's seen drugs in her house, so I don't know what he's talking about.
And
We've
Jodi,
ordered off him before, so...
Jodi, you know this because you were taking drugs with Mercedes, you bought drugs with Mercedes. Tell us, why do you know this?
Well, I've seen Mercedes smoke shabu in Bali. I never did that. Yes, I have taken previous drugs with Mercedes on a social level, like if we went out to a club. Yes, we did have ecstasy. We have had speed together, yes.
Do you believe that Schapelle takes drugs?
Yes.
What sort of drugs?
Well, I know she's had ecstasy, speed, cocaine.
Jodi, I need to ask you a few questions. Have you ever carried drugs for the Corby family?
No, never.
Have you ever bought drugs from the Corby family?
Yes.
And who from?
Well, I have got them from Mercedes before and from another certain member, which I'm not going to say.
Jodi, do you think your allegations could jeopardise Schapelle's opportunity for an appeal of her sentence?
Maybe they should look a bit deeper. Maybe the Indonesian police should look a bit deeper and see, like, if Schapelle did take it over, who was she couriering it over there for? Who was she taking it there for? Maybe they should look at the bigger picture.
Now, due to the fallout, this could end up in court. Are you willing to testify?
Yes.
You're willing to get up in court and testify against the Corby family?
Yes, I have nothing to hide. I have absolutely nothing to hide. I can say anything. I can only give the truth and tell what Mercedes has told me and what I have seen with my own eyes. That I can't do any more than that. So I do not have a problem with going to court at all.
Jodi, given what has happened, do you think you can ever return to a normal life?
For my boy's sake, I hope so.
But what do you think in your heart of hearts?
Everyone seems to think I'm playing it down, that everything's going to be okay, but all the people that love and care about me are a bit worried. So I don't know.
Are you trying to tell me that you're fearing for your life, that somebody could kill you because you've spoken out?
Or hurt me, yes.
Jodi, do you regret coming forward?
Yeah, sometimes I regret it because, you know, I don't want people to think badly of me or that I am a liar, because I know, like, I've never been more truthful in my life. Like, it's by nature I'm not a liar, so that hurts.
Jodi, are there people out there who can back up your story?
I know there's people out there that can back up my story. I just hope that they come forward.
Well, Jodi, we thank you for coming forward today. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Anna.
For Mercedes Corby, it's denial after denial. She has been giving selective media interviews, slamming Jodi for, as she puts it, betraying the Corby family. So is Mercedes telling the truth? Karen Cooper reports.
Mercedes just has lied so much that she's tried to manipulate everyone.
Jodi is lying.
Clearly one of these former best friends is lying. But which one?
You look at all the cues that are available and say, if you had to make a decision yes or no, would you believe her? Would you believe her? And I'd say, yeah, I'd believe her.
In the face-off between Jodi Power and Mercedes Corby, we asked world-renowned body language expert Alan Pease to make a call. The author of the definitive book of body language, he spent hours today analysing Jodi's accusations and Mercedes' denial. And he's not about to lay his reputation on the line to make a comment that suits either one.
She just lied, damaging lies, and I'm going to sue him because she defames my character.
And when she says it's lies, she uses a rising terminal. She says it's lies, showing that she's not really on solid ground about what she's saying and believing what she's saying. She's looking for our support to tell her that it's okay. Because when you're being honest and open about what you're saying and you believe it, you say it would be lies, as opposed to lies.
What's her reaction going to be when she sees these photographs?
She's going to hate me.
The overwhelming thing that came out with Jodi Power was she was scared. The shrugging of the shoulders, the eyes widening when she talked about Mercedes. In the back of her mind, she's scared about what she's saying, and she's scared about maybe what the consequences are going to be of this, with good reason, I think.
Jodi sat a lie detector test and, despite failing the first, passed two others. Mercedes says she'll undergo one herself, but even that answer has raised doubts with Alan Pease.
Well, she's not happy about the lie detector test. She's asked if she would take it, and she said, yes, I would. Yes, I would. That's not a commitment. Yes, I will is a commitment. I mean, you don't ask a woman, would you marry me? You ask, will you marry me, so you get a commitment. So at this point in time, she's not happy about doing it.
There were also doubts raised over Jodi Power's polygraph results. John Ryan, a computerised voice stress analysis expert, claims Jodi failed.
I don't believe this interview is the truth, no.
Voice stress analysis has no credible scientific research that supports it.
Paul Woolley is one of only 5 polygraph experts in Australia, including Steve Van Aperen, who conducted the test on Jodi, and only one of a handful who's had experience with both lie detection devices.
It doesn't have any accuracy rates higher than 50%, so you could guess and be just as accurate.
How many police departments in Australia use the voice stress analyzer?
None.
And how many use the polygraph?
Some of the Queensland detectives I've done tests for in Queensland, I know that the Victorian Homicide Squad employ them in some of their cases as well.
He says the FBI, CIA and US military have even gone as far as banning the voice stress analyzer as a deception detection device. Based on what you know and your experience, do you believe Jodi Power?
Based on the fact that she passed 2 polygraphs, I would say that she's probably telling the truth.
Well, if you had to believe one or the other, and you were forced to make a decision, I'd go for Jodi because she was congruent. Everything about her seemed to back up what she was saying. So I'd be more inclined to believe her, less inclined to believe Mercedes because she was too aggressive.
I'm not a drug smuggler.
Karen Cooper reporting. Now to our phone and internet poll. Last night we asked you, do you believe Jodi Power is telling the truth? Well, the results are in and they're overwhelming. More than 80% of you believe that Jodi is telling the truth. Thank you for your votes. We appreciate everyone's involvement. Post opens up about the Corby family. A former Centrelink worker and ex-friends come out of the woodwork, spilling the beans on Schapelle Corby.
I've never had a doubt in my mind that Chappelle was guilty.
Hello and welcome to Today Tonight. I'm Anna Corrin. The Corby saga continues in just a moment. Also tonight, parents outraged as school photos are deliberately retouched. They want perfect-looking students and mum and dad have no choice. Also tonight, the China syndrome, the new hit list of Aussie businesses planning to send thousands of jobs to Beijing.
What do you get to say for yourself? What sort of a man runs from his children, Tim?
And stop this man. He moves from woman to woman, fathering children at every stop, collecting welfare and breaking hearts along the way. But first, we bring you startling new claims by a former Centrelink worker about Schapelle Corby. She alleges that a week before Chappelle was arrested in Bali, she visited a Gold Coast Centrelink branch to claim her disability pension. The reason why she was on this pension has stuck in this woman's memory. Tonight, she comes forward, along with other former friends, to tell all about the Corby family. Gavin Alder has this exclusive.
So, in your mind, Jodi is telling the truth?
Definitely.
This woman is one of dozens of people who've come forward with information about the Corby family. Like so many, she fears for her safety, but is so incensed, in her words, at the lies being peddled by the Corbies in the aftermath of Jodi Power's interview, that she wants the Australian public to know what she knows.
I've never had a doubt in my mind that Chappelle was guilty.
This Centrelink worker dealt with Chappelle on the Gold Coast 1 week before that ill-fated trip to Bali. She vividly remembers processing Schapelle Corby's disability claim.
She was on disability pension for depression and drug-related psychological problems.
But it said in her file that the problems were related to...
That's what the doctor said.
The exchange was etched in her memory because 7 days after meeting Chappelle, her name and face became headline news.
I just remember her from that one time. She had an unusual name and we joked about her sister's unusual name as well, and I remember that clearly.
And she's not the only one making such claims.
We'd go drinking, we'd smoke a bit of pot, party, go to great crash parties.
And we're talking about Schapelle Corby?
Schapelle Corby, yes sir.
Were you surprised to hear Jodi Power's allegations about the family?
Not at all.
Why not?
Oh, because I knew that she was telling the truth. I actually feel sorry for her because there's nobody else standing behind her. Everyone else that gets on the radio and on the TV
standing behind the Corbies. How many people know the Corbies? Not all of Australia. I just had to stand up and say something.
This old school friend is saying something. He too doesn't want to be identified, but he spent much of his teenage years with Schapelle and claims he smoked marijuana with her and got his pot from her family's fish and chip shop.
Well, you go get your $2 chips and you can pick up your $2 smoke as well, you know.
He never knew Mercedes, but he says despite his experience with Schapelle, her arrest in Bali still came as a surprise.
A little, because it was Schapelle, our high school friend. You don't think one of your high school friends is ever going to be in that predicament, but not over the drugs, no. It was just, I just knew. For her to have marijuana on her, it wasn't a surprise. That much, maybe, yes, but to have marijuana on her was not a surprise at all.
He says he was stunned when Jodi Power spoke out. He doesn't know her, but he does believe her.
I have nothing to hide. I have absolutely nothing to hide. I can say anything. I can only give the truth and tell what Mercedes has told me and what I have seen with my own eyes. That I can't do any more than that.
Do you believe that Schapelle takes drugs?
Yes.
What sort of drugs?
Well, I know she's had ecstasy, speed, cocaine.
She was telling the truth. Jodi was telling the truth. I don't know too much about Mercedes, but the truth about Schapelle, the truth, it's the truth.
You say Jodi Power's telling the truth. What is the truth about Schapelle?
She smokes marijuana. She deals with marijuana. Marijuana's been a part of her life for a long time.
Gavin Alder reporting from the Gold Coast. Now, some sections of the media have relentlessly attacked Jodi Power's story and our reporting of it. This morning on Sydney Radio, the Corby cheer squad was in full voice. The family's #1 supporter, Alan Jones, called on the author of the book Chappelle to attack Jodi and, of course, Today Tonight. Here's just a snippet.
We've got Schapelle and Mercedes Corby, according to Channel 7, taking ecstasy, cocaine and other drugs. We've got their mother, Rosalie, running drugs. Their father, Michael, guilty by association because he's twice happened to live next door to someone convicted of growing marijuana. Is there anything else that they can be blamed for?
Well, exactly. I mean, it's just laughable. It's just absolutely laughable. I mean, Roz carrying drugs in a suitcase around Australia, it would be laughable if it just wasn't so serious and damaging and upsetting to the...
How can people do this?
Well, it's a really good question. How can they legally be able to do this?
But you're a journalist.
Well, I don't know. I cannot believe that they can just come out with this rubbish. I mean, they've got nothing to back up what they're saying, except photographs.
And it goes on. But the simple facts are, Alan Jones is on Channel 9's payroll, and Channel 9 has a long-term agreement with the Corby family. Author Catherine Bonella is an ex-Channel 9 journalist who makes money every time the Schapelle book is sold. We make no bones about the fact that we paid Jodi Power for her interview. As you know, she passed 2 credible lie detector tests. Mercedes Corby, who's also been paid for interviews, has promised to sit a lie detector test to clear her name. Well, Mercedes, we're still waiting. She also claims to be suing the 7 network, but we're yet to receive any notice of that. And while we're at it, our invitation for Mercedes to appear on our program still stands.